everyone, and welcome back to All Watch What They're Watching, where we're curious and adamant about cinema. I am one of your hosts, and I'm Kiri.
And I'm Adam.
And first off, do want to apologize that we missed last week. Basically, we were both just incredibly busy. I know Adam was cramming for Oscars and had some work stuff. I had midterms, and so we just didn't get around to it. And this episode is late, but we really, really wanted to get something out right before the Oscars because, again, Adam has texted me earlier today and has finished watching every single one of the nominees. And I'm not just talking about Best Picture. Every single movie, every single short that has been nominated, Adam has seen.
Yeah, it's been a really, really fun experience. I'm so glad I did it. You know, the past 5 years or so, I've tried to watch every Best Pictures I've talked about on the podcast. And I was chatting with a friend today, and just watching the ceremony is so much fun when, like, first of all, there's so many jokes, obviously. And there's lots of things said that I think, as you are familiar with these movies, it just gets that much more fun. And so, having seen every single thing, I am beyond excited to be watching. And shout out, I had a friend and I had a brother that have both been working through a lot of them. And so it's been a lot of fun to just kind of chat and compare notes on a few of the things that we did. So obviously today we'll talk a little bit of a preview of what to expect at the Oscars and kind of what some things to keep an eye on or things that we're hoping for. And I have written it down. I will give not my prediction, but if I were a voter, my vote for every category. Yep.
Yeah, so when we get to that point, I'll kind of let Adam take the lead just because I just haven't gotten to, nearly as many as he has. I am, of course, wrapped up with school. I have been trying to get to the theater, and I did get to a few, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, when we kind of get to the Oscars, I have some opinions, I have some predictions, but I don't feel like I'm nearly as well informed as Adam. But
Yeah.
Adam, I know you and I have also we've gotten to see a few things in theaters the past couple weeks.
Yeah, so the two I'll hit on, I believe it's just these two that I've seen since the last time we recorded. I did get the chance to take Oliver to go see the newest Disney Pixar movie, Hoppers, which
Yes.
I think is phenomenal for the first 45 minutes. And then there's this very key turn. I think a lot of people, and the turn itself, I don't have an issue with, but I think then the resulting things that happen, in my opinion, they were going down a path that was very pro-environmental and really strong in that regard. And then they don't back off on it. Like, it's still a pro-environmental movie, which I can appreciate. And I think any kid that goes to see it is going to walk away with that message. But I do think that they do take a bit more of a safe approach, a bit more of a, like, all sides can work together, okay approach, which feels contradictory to the first 45 minutes, in my opinion. And so I was a bit disappointed by that. I will say, and many people have said this, it's probably the craziest Disney Pixar movie. As I mentioned, there's some really fun parts of it going off the rails that I could appreciate.
More so than like Ratatouille?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
But while it's doing that, in the back of my head, I'm a little bit like, gosh, aren't we kind of contradicting ourselves doing this whole song and dance? So it's an interesting one. So I'm sure lots of people are seeing that one.
Yeah.
If you have, chat with me. I can give you a little bit more details about what my specific things are. But yeah, in general, I think they're going a path, and then they deliberately make the decision to be safe with it rather than perhaps a more impactful message.
That's too bad. And you and I kind of just talked about the future of Pixar and where that's going. And, next is Toy Story 17 or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, Pixar has an original coming in 2027 that I think looks moderately interesting.
One thing I would say as to you should support it is, obviously as you just mentioned, it's a Pixar original. So if anything, I'm like, go support that so that it's,
Okay. Yep,
Yes,
yep,
we
that's
believe in
fair.
Pixar originals and actually don't water it down looking at Alio and this. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that honestly is a very, very good point. I have gotten to see 3 films in theaters since the beginning of the month, since March. It's not looking great. I gave 1 2 stars, I gave 1 2.5, and I gave 1 3. And the 3 I'm even debating giving 3.5 because I had a decent amount of fun with that one. But I did go see Wuthering Heights. I did not like it. Um thought there were some really cool stylistic choices. There were some shots that I was like, that's really kind of visually interesting. Really fantastic costumes, honestly. I would not be surprised if it gets a nomination for costumes, and
Oh, I
rightly
didn't even
so.
think of that.
Yeah, the costumes are honestly really, I've heard they're not period accurate, but they are still there's something to look at. Some really cool use of the color red. There was a couple of silhouettes with so kind of a black like darker figure against a red backdrop that I really liked. It was very reminiscent of like Gone with the Wind. But overall just some really odd narrative choices. Like I had a friend of mine who was like the director Emerald Fennell, they were like, I like Emerald Fennell the director more than I like Emerald Fennell the writer. And I think
Mm,
sometimes directors tend to do that. They tend to get really, I don't know, maybe excited about their success and try their hand at screenwriting, and some of them just aren't meant to be screenwriters.
sure,
So yeah, just really odd narrative choices. And I don't know that I care much for the story of Wuthering Heights to begin with, which is a me
sure.
problem. Because there's just it's toxic. There's codependency. There's abuse. There's manipulation. There's infidelity. There's
Right.
it's terrible people doing terrible things, and that's not something that I find like fun or romantic to really be a part of.
Right.
So, didn't care much for Wuthering Heights. I did go see Crime 101. It's 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 really too long. I told you it did kind of remind me of Black Bag that Steven Soderbergh did last year. And typically with movies like this that are like, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm like, yeah, it needs to be cut down to 2 hours. This one, I almost am like, you could have been an easy 40 minutes shorter. Like, I think this could have been a tight 100-minute film. There's some because the whole idea is you've got these 3 subplots that are going to kind of converge. The main character,
Sure.
the lead is Chris Hemsworth, and his whole, basically, it's almost like he is a morally gray thief. So he's a thief, but he
Okay.
he never hurts anyone. He's got kind of a pattern. Mark Ruffalo plays the cop who's trying to find him. Barry
Right.
Keoghan plays like the guy that Chris Hemsworth kind of works for. Hemsworth is basically like, I don't know if I want to keep working with you. So this guy kind of sicks this loose cannon who's played by Barry Keoghan on Chris Hemsworth. Halle Berry is this insurance executive. And so they do all kind of converge. I think there's just things that didn't need to be there. There's like a romance subplot with Chris Hemsworth that I'm like, and I think it's meant to kind of redeem him at the end, but I'm like, I didn't get enough time with the romance to really feel like I was invested in it. And rather than making it even longer and fleshing that out, I kind of wish they just would have cut it, made him sympathetic in a
Sure.
different way, rather than being like, he's kind of awkward, but he likes this sweet girl. Like, I would have done something else. And I think that, like, I love Halle Berry in this. Like, she is really, really good. And, she's also the one moderately central female figure. So I would hate to cut it out, but it's just unnecessary. I feel like there are other ways they could have made things kind of converge and play out at the end. So, I don't know, it's not bad. When I first gave the review, I gave it 3 stars, and I said it's very nearly a 3.5 star. I think I would bump it up to 3.5 in the sense that I'm like, I think I had fun. I think it goes down easy. I didn't have to think too much. I was just sitting there kind of having a good, I'm like, there's car chases, there's this, there's intrigue, there's Chris Hemsworth looking, attractive in really nice clothes and really cool cars. So it's
Right.
not bad. I would say, again, if you're looking for, you want to kill a couple hours, you want just kind of a good time. I think Crime 101 is the best of the ones I watched. And then I watched Pillion, and I won't belabor this one too much, but I just really didn't care for it. It's the one that it's the movie about it's like a gay love story that also has to deal with a dom sub relationship. I don't know. I think the Harry Melling's performance. So Harry Melling, you guys would know him from Harry Potter fame. He plays Dudley Dursley.
No kidding.
Did you not notice that?
I had no idea, no. Well, and I realized in one of the Oscar shorts, my friend Dorothy, I didn't realize until today that she is, I think forgive me, the like biology teacher, what's her name?
Oh yeah, Professor Sprout. Yeah. I forget the actress's name, but yeah, I did know that.
Yeah. So I didn't even clock that till today. So yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I mean, Melling is giving a great performance, and kind of the same thing as like Crime 101, with Chris Hemsworth. Alexander Skarsgård is there just looking hot in leather jackets and on a motorcycle. But I don't know, I was talking with some friends about it, and it is kind of one of those gay stories as well that's kind of one note where it's the same narrative we've seen a thousand times with gay narratives
Sure.
where it doesn't end particularly happy, and it's the idea of like one character is emotionally unavailable and takes advantage of the fact that the other one really is, and oh, it doesn't work out because the one who's emotionally unavailable or has undergone, or is recovering from trauma or whatever, cannot sustain a healthy relationship. So I don't know. There's more I could say on that one, but for the sake of keeping this podcast fairly PG, I won't. Because it also
Sure.
is there's some fairly graphic nudity that I was not expecting.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, that movie is the type of thing that I would say if it does not pique your interest, I don't think there's anything I could say that would get it to pique your interest. If it's something that you want to see, you want to scratch an itch, or if you're interested in that kind of stories, go ahead. I think as a film, it's fine. Like if this isn't something, I think I saw the last viewing that's going to happen in Denver for a while, so I don't know that anyone really has much of the chance. But there are some movies that I see, especially independent films, where I want to be like, oh my gosh, guys, like when this comes out, definitely get your hands on it, do what you can, try to see it in theaters. This is one that I'm like, I'm not pushing for people to rush and see it. It didn't do for me what I had wanted it to do.
No, I get that. Yeah. Good
So
summary.
anyway,
Yeah.
so those are the ones I've seen, but let's get into the real
Before we
reason
do,
Oh yes.
this is becoming, we talked about the Wuthering Heights Crime 101, GOAT, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die days being a big day we were looking forward
Yes.
to. Between the two of us, we did see all 4 of those movies. So, following up on our word. But I think the next big release of the year that I had on my radar that I was really excited about, and now it's getting the reviews to accompany it. That essentially, this is way too early to say this, way too early without me having seen it, but I think it is our first Best Picture lock of the year, and that is Project Hail
Really?
Mary. Yes, and it comes out
Interesting.
next weekend. So it's a book, same author as The Martian, a lot of the same vibes as The Martian, but I cannot wait to see it. So that comes out next week.
Yeah, I know you've really, really been looking forward to that. So I would like to go see it. I think I want you to see it first and then let me know what you think. But definitely, that one's definitely on my radar. Couple others that are coming out soon. I saw the trailer for this when I saw Pillion last night. Had not heard of it at all until then. It's called Undertone, and it's just the host of a popular paranormal podcast becomes haunted by terrifying recordings mysteriously sent her way. Some of the reviews I've seen have been like, I walked out of the theater feeling I was cursed. I read reviews that were like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. So lots of hype. However, one of my favorite critics, the critic for the LA Times, did say, and I'm quoting her here, she goes, I'd love to understand why horror films that I find excruciatingly dull give others the heebie-jeebies. So we'll see.
Yeah, one more shout out I'll say. It's not around me anywhere, which is too bad, but it may be around other people right now. And that is, what's it called? Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Yeah.
I've heard it's a comedy, but I've heard really, 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 really good things about it. So I'm really anxious to see that one when I get a chance.
And then the last little plug I'll give, this is not a new release, but a re-release. I am getting to see Kiki's Delivery Service in IMAX this weekend. I know. Did I tell you that that's my brother's favorite and he's in Utah, and I looked it up to see where near him it was playing. His two closest options are Boise, Idaho and Denver, Colorado.
Boise, Idaho. Hey, that's only 5 hours from me. Maybe I'll head down.
That's the thing is it's either way, he's gonna be in a car for, like, 7 hours, so
Gosh,
he's
I
super bummed, but
I was scrolling Instagram and just feeling anxious about the state of the world and other things going on, and that poster showed up, and it was just playing "A Town with an Ocean View," the song from it,
so
and I
good,
was just like,
so good.
instant peace. So, if you check your theaters, if you can go see Kiki's Delivery Service IMAX, make that a priority because it is so good.
Mhm. It's so worth
So,
it. It's 1 week only. I also saw they're doing 2 other 4K restorations for Ghibli over the next few
yeah,
months. In April, they're doing but both of them are 1 day only. And they're a Tuesday, which I thought was an odd choice. But one of them
that's
is
interesting.
yeah, I thought so too. One of them is Whisper of the Heart, and one of them is Secret World of Arietti. So again, if Kiki's Delivery Service, Whisper of the Heart, or Secret World of Arietti are ones that you've either been meaning to get to, or ones that are beloved and you have an IMAX near you, I would definitely see if you can make it a priority to see them because I mean I've talked about it before, but I had such a wonderful experience with Princess Mononoke, and I'm gonna do what I can to see these as well.
Man, I wish I could.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, I'm so happy you are. I can't wait to hear about it. But I think that brings us right to our Oscar coverage.
Yes. Yes,
Yay.
indeed.
Cool. So I think the best place to start is maybe some of the biggest headlines, some of the drama, give you a chance to weigh in, throw out some of your picks, and then I'll just kind
Mhm.
of go through everything else.
Okay.
Everything that I think in general and most of the times maybe is a little bit, I would say, not completely overlooked, but obviously more overlooked, some of the technical categories and some of the other shorts and that type of thing. But so
Mhm.
we'll get started with the big hitters. I'll just say I think I'll say four that have any chance of winning Best Picture. Obviously, Best Picked. It's kind of a funny thing,
Mhm.
right? We have Oscars, we have movies, we have film, we have cinema, we have motion pictures. And so I don't know how old I was when it clocked for me like Best Picture means the best movie of the year.
But
Like,
that's
I don't know,
unfortunate.
like, there's just so many names for movies and stuff, and
Yeah.
so it's just like, I don't know if there's anyone listening that Best Picture that never clocked for them, so I thought I would just start there. A simple explanation. Best Picture is
Yeah.
what's considered, the best movie
The
by the
movie of the
Academy, which the
year.
Academy is made up of many, many people, actors, writers, directors, critics, all these different people that are involved in movies that make the nominees and vote and do all these different things. So back to, I think there's only four that have any chance of winning Best Picture. And of those four, it's a two-man race. There's
Agreed.
two movies that are likely going to win it. And that is, I'll say, still the front runner is One Battle After Another, written, directed Paul Thomas Anderson. We've talked about it on this. And second is Sinners, which we've glanced over at times, but we haven't talked about because it came out before we
Mm-mm.
had a podcast. It was actually the
Yes.
first movie we ever talked about together.
Mhm.
But yeah, we haven't seen it. So those are really the two that
We have
are
seen it, we
likely
haven't
gonna win
talked
it.
about it.
Right, 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 right. I've seen all of them.
Yes.
But I think the other two that aren't gonna win but have a chance is Hamnet. The only way Hamnet
Mm.
wins is if too many votes are split between One Battle After Another and Sinners, and somehow Hamnet sneaks in. The other one I think has a shot is The Secret Agent, which is a
Really? Not
Brazilian
Marty
film.
Supreme?
No, Marty Supreme has no chance. I really like Marty Supreme, obviously, but
Okay.
I think I think The Secret Agent just playing well internationally. Again, I think if there's enough vote splitting that happens, then there's a chance that that could come in. I don't think it's
Mhm.
likely at all, but I think those are the two other, crazier things have happened in the world. But yeah, but The
Mhm.
Secret, I just think that you have to pay attention anytime there's Brazilian nominees. They get very passionate and they do a lot of really good marketing, and
Mhm.
they are very vote in a block a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So you'll kind of see people a lot of times offhanded comments that aren't very nice or appropriate, but they'll talk about the Brazilian members of the Academy, which is kind of an interesting. Last year it was I think it's called I'm Still Here, or
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, which I loved. That was one of my favorites actually of last year. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about The Secret Agent, but we'll just start here, mostly talking about Sinners and One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I mean, I liked One Battle After Another. I have said before I do need to give it a rewatch, and I still feel that way. I just it's a matter of so many movies, so little time, and that's just not a priority right now when I have to write papers on other films.
Fair.
I mean, you
And
know,
to clarify,
I
you still gave it a 4. You
I know
still
I
gave it a
gave it a
4 out of 5.
4. I felt very I don't know. I don't know if that was honest, and I don't know if it's too high or too low. I just don't think it was honest. I think I was like, I'm not crazy about this one, but also a lot of people are saying it's the best film of the year, so I have to give it a moderately positive score."
Well, I'm a
But
big fan.
I know you are. I did love the hell out of Sinners. And
Yeah.
when looking at my predictions, I've got a couple hot takes cuz it's not the Oscars without an upset or two.
Now,
My
and
hot
I'm really looking forward to that, but I want to give a little bit. This will take just a second to give some of the context and some of the drama that has been
Okay,
occurring
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sinners is at the front of almost all of the controversies, but usually not in a bad way.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'll say Sinners, I think, benefits from it came out last March, so almost a year ago, when
Mhm.
typically the biggest contenders will release later in the year. So
Yes.
it wasn't competing with all the other ones when the other ones come out. And it was something that everyone
True.
regarded as successful, both critically and financially, and just a
Mhm.
huge triumph, especially for Ryan Coogler and his team, and just
Mhm.
that representation and that ability to do all those really great things. There's been really good award season marketing. Ryan
Yes.
Coogler went on Good Hang with Amy Poehler, which is a super accessible, super popular podcast to promote it, obviously. And everyone loved him when he went on there. So that's a huge plus. So a lot of good things working towards it. When it comes to the best actor race, there
Mhm.
for a long time it was sort of Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another and Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme. As
I
the pre Go ahead.
I was just going to say I think that yeah, Leo was sort of on the radar. Marty Supreme came out, and I feel like once Marty Supreme came out, Timothy kind of carried it. Like, it was sort of generally agreed, okay, Timothy Chalamet, this is gonna be his year. He's been marketing really, honestly, peculiarly for it, but he's gotten attention. And
Right.
it's just, I would say up until, honestly, a few weeks ago, it was pretty much, while Leonardo DiCaprio was on the radar, it was pretty much like, oh yeah, our boy Timmy's gonna get it.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like you said it up until a few weeks ago, and I think it was once the precursors or the other awards shows started happening, it was
Mhm.
really starting to lean more towards Timothy versus Leonardo DiCaprio. And so I think where this started is the BAFTAs, which is the British
Yes.
award show. And there was a very controversial incident that people listening may or may not have heard of, where they were celebrating a film and an individual who has Tourette's syndrome. For anyone that doesn't know, Tourette's syndrome is a neurological disorder where essentially you have these tics or these things that most of the time words that come out of you that you physically do not have control over.
Mhm.
And so, and anyone can text me or let me know if that's not exactly correct. So essentially what happened at this awards show was they notified the audience that this was going to happen, and they didn't necessarily do a good job of what happens if that happens. And
Mm.
so what eventually happened was Delroy Lindy and
Window.
Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan were both on stage, and he had the individual and let me look up his name actually.
John
Okay.
Davidson.
Yeah, so his name is John Davidson. Again, he's a well-known activist for Tourette's, and there's a documentary that won a couple awards at this show. And while Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo are on the stage, he ticked and it was the N-word. And the BBC did not censor it. You could tell on their faces of just like the pure like shock of that moment. And it was just heartbreaking and devastatingly sad. I will say both to the Black community and the Tourette's community. If there's anyone at fault in this situation, and I don't want to say that anyone is at fault, because I think sometimes really bad and unfortunate things happen, and it's not our jobs to put blame onto one single person, but just to
Right.
recognize that a situation is really bad and complex. But the real issue here is the BAFTAs themselves and BBC, that they did a
Yeah.
really poor job handling the situation.
Right.
Now, back to the Oscars race. Shortly after the BAFTAs was the actors choice screen.
The SAG Awards bit, or no, Critics' Choice.
SAGs, yeah. No, yeah. Well, SAG is what I'm thinking of.
Okay,
So
SAG.
SAG Awards happen, and who wins Best Actor? Michael B. Jordan. And so I think these events immediately shifted momentum
Yeah.
significantly towards Michael B. Jordan.
Yep.
And so there's some other things happening too that you may or may not have seen. It's all over social media right now with Timothy Chalamet, where they pulled a clip from him talking with Matthew McConaughey, where he basically says, "I'm glad I'm an actor and I'm not a part of opera or ballet, which are things that are dying, and I'm trying to keep it alive and whatever." So he has just been roasted and eviscerated online. And so
Yeah.
where I think where people now think that Michael B. Jordan is going to win it because of all these things happening in momentum. My take is, so that's the background. That's kind of the things leading up to this. It's essentially Michael B. Jordan versus Timothy Chalamet.
Yep.
With, you never know. Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio wins. Everyone's like, "Oh, great." My take and my opinion on it all is I think that the voting period closed, I want to say, like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Literally last week, last Thursday was the
Okay,
last day.
last Thursday. I think it closed early enough that it didn't hurt Timothy Chalamet enough for him to lose. I think if it had opened or
Oh,
closed this Thursday, I think no doubt Michael B. Jordan would have won. But I still think at the end of the day it's going to be Timothy Chalamet.
I agree that I think it's a toss-up. I think it's going to be Michael B. Jordan.
I hope it is. I think
The Actors Award makes up, like SAG makes up, it's something like 40% of the votes or something like that. Basically, if you look, every lead actor, so in the past like 15, 16 years, there's only been one or two instances where the best lead actor won the SAG and lost the Oscars. And for me, that trend is just, this could be another one. For me, that trend is just, it's too good. And I don't know, and maybe it's just because I like Michael B. Jordan better, so I want him to win. But I don't know. My prediction is Michael B. Jordan, which takes me to my next thing, because
well, real quick,
going. Okay, sure.
think it is a funny thing because I think I'll get to my actual pick in a second. If you listen to the Marty Supreme episode, you know I loved Marty Supreme. So like
Yeah.
I will by no means be saddened if Timothy Chalamet wins. It's just it has been an interesting, maybe somewhat disappointing, right? You would hope the discourse is only about the merit of each of their performances,
Mhm.
but it has been quite scandalous, I'll say, the last few weeks.
Yeah. No, agreed. Which before we get too far away from Best Picture then, you're I know that we've talked a little bit, you are predicting that One Battle After Another wins. What's your personal choice for Best Picture?
It's still one battle after another. I think
Okay.
a lot that might be my only not my only one, but that's one of my few predictions and personal choice that are aligned.
The odds are against me here, and I recognize that. I think it's gonna be one of those wild years where I will bet that PTA gets Best Director. I'm gonna say Sinners gets Best Picture.
Could happen.
I recognize that I am betting against the odds here, but that is what my gut is telling me.
And again, I genuinely think the timing here is important and that if voting were closed today versus last week, I think it would have flipped. But as it is, I still think that one battle after another, Timothy Chalamet still end up winning, but I'm excited. We'll see.
Uh, so who do you think for just because there are so many categories, I don't wanna keep our listenership here forever, but Best Director, what are your thoughts?
So I think this one is and always has been a lock for Paul Thomas Anderson. It's a little
Mhm.
bit of a makeup Oscar, I'll say, of all of his other accomplishments and things that
Yeah.
I think, and I've heard it from other podcasts. What went wrong? A couple other things is saying like it's almost impossible for him to lose this one just because of everything he's ever been nominated for and he's never won. That it seems like it's nothing short of a lock. I think my personal choice, I would choose Ryan Coogler, though. I think what he's accomplished with
Interesting.
Sinners, because in my mind, and this is where I'm not a film expert in some of these categories, I'm like, I don't really know what editing means. I just kind of go off the vibes of what I assume. And for director, the vibes that I take is the entire direction and feel and theme and basically inside the movie and even outside the movie of like everything that has happened as far as the campaign and the awards and hearing him speak about what the movie means and how it was developed and how it all came together and writing and all these different things. I think when you package all of those things together, I think that's where Ryan Coogler comes up on top for me. And again, maybe that's me having a fundamental misunderstanding of what Best Director is supposed to be awarding, but in my mind, I feel like that's what Best Director means to me is just taking the entire comprehensive package of getting the movie made itself.
Mhm. I do think that especially because of the massive success of Sinners, I think Ryan Coogler has a very long and very promising career ahead of him. I don't think this is gonna be his last chance to get an Oscar, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. That's why I'm not going to take credit for this, but that's exactly what the podcast What Went Wrong was talking about is that Paul Thomas Anderson's Oscar, there's probably other times he deserved it more. And so then at
Yeah,
a certain point, it's like, if we're giving Ryan Coogler the Oscar in 10 years and we're giving it someone else next year, like at what point is it not
yeah,
doing what it's supposed to of taking a year into account? But I don't know that you ever fix that. So it's just kind of an
yeah,
interesting thing.
agreed,
Do you
agreed.
have any other some of the other acting ones that you wanted to predict or talk about before I kind
Yeah,
of
so
go? I think I'll give a little bit more detail on some of the movies themselves, on some of the less popular categories, just because I want to touch a little bit on some things. But
yeah,
what else you got?
I think Best Actress in a Leading Role, I think it's Jessie Buckley, and I don't think it's even a conversation of someone else getting it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
think
think
you're
that
right.
that is one of the few that I feel very, very confident about.
And to clarify, this is you predicting, not stating
This is
your
me
favorite.
predicting. Yeah, this is me predicting. Who would be your pick for Best Lead Actress?
Actually, Rose Byrne from If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which, side note, I think is going to be really fun because I don't know if you knew this, but Conan is actually in that movie. Um,
Oh, there's
he
gonna be a lot
plays,
of jokes. That's awesome.
yeah,
I might try
he
to get to
plays
that
her,
one before the ceremony.
yeah, he plays her therapist. It's really funny because, like, obviously Conan, one of the funniest people alive, not a joke within that character. I mean, some of his deliveries are like funny, or some of the ways that he approaches the situation is like kind of darkly funny.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I can't wait for that because there's going to be so many jokes about that.
As far as Best Actor in a Supporting Role, I have seen most of these. I think if I had my personal pick, I would go with Delroy Lindo. I think
Mm.
Sean Penn's gonna take it. I debated back and forth. I was like, the only way I see Delroy Lindo taking it is if it gets split between Sean Penn and Stellan Skarsgård. I don't think Skarsgård has enough momentum for him to win over Sean Penn, but I think if enough things get split between Penn and Skarsgård, that's the only way I can see Delroy Lindo kind of being a dark horse and taking it.
We've been really fortunate this year that one of the worst conversations to have during the Oscars is category fraud. And it's usually when supporting actors are nominated to be supporting actor and they're clearly a lead.
Right.
Glinda in Wicked was a supporting
Right.
actress nomination, and it's like, really?
Right.
So I think this year I would say Jacob Elordi and Skarsgård are probably your closest ones to that, but I don't think either one has had a ton of momentum for a win.
Yeah.
My actual pick, though, is Benicio del Toro, also from One Battle After Another.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's great. I think he offers a key amount of levity and comedic tension, but also is also like the backbone of actual resistance in that movie, like real meaningful community resistance that's like, oh, this is someone that is a community builder.
Mm,
But in the scope of the movie, he's also really, really funny and offers that sort of great foil to, the calmness to Leonardo DiCaprio's frantic energy. So
yeah.
I really liked his performance and would be thrilled if he won it, but I'd be great
Yeah.
with Delroy Lindo as well.
But I do think it's going to be Sean Penn. As far as Best Actress in a Supporting Role, this is another one that's interesting because Tiana Taylor in One Battle After Another was front runner, front runner, front runner. Wunmi Mosaku, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that
Mhm.
correctly, but Annie from Sinners, she ended up getting, I forget which award, but she got one, kind of swooped in
Yeah,
and took it. But then Amy Madigan in the past month has just come in like a wrecking ball.
yeah.
And so you and I talked about this. I think it's gonna go to Amy Madigan.
Yeah, she's both my pick. I don't know if she's my prediction actually. I think it might be Tiana Taylor still, which I'm fine with because that's a very, very, very close one. I really love, and I talked about it in the One Battle After Another episode about how I think she does a really good job of framing the whole rest of the movie when she's not there. But I
Yeah.
love Amy Madigan's performance. For anyone that doesn't know, I don't know that we talked too much about Weapons. It's obviously a complete horror movie. Um, and she plays essentially a scary witch that almost has some clown vibes.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be a really fun win, both for her, who is this very accomplished actress who I think has won it before or
Amy
has been
Madigan?
nominated.
I
Yeah.
don't think she's ever won.
I think she was nominated at some point. Let me look.
She was nominated one other time.
Okay, okay. So that's really fun, and it's a fun performance. It'd be really fun if that was the win.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be sweet if Amy Madigan took it. I mean, would be also perfectly happy with Wumi Mosaku because I thought she was also just
Yes,
fabulous in Sinners. We
agreed.
will I'm just going to briefly hit original screenplay and adapted screenplay because I think these are another locked in. Original screenplay, I have no doubt it's going to go to Sinners. Adapted screenplay, I have no doubt it's going to go to One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question on those two. I think it's pretty
Nope.
much locked there. Yeah.
Yeah. But your picks?
Uh, those are my picks.
Those are your picks. Sweet. Moving right along.
I think
Best
well,
anim
let me I think there's a world I could argue Marty Supreme for original screenplay, but I
Mhm.
would still pick Sinners.
And then so best animated feature film. So you also got to see Arco, which I did not like very much. So I do want to know your thoughts on that just real quick before we kind of give our spiel on the category.
Yeah, I kind of said in the Letterboxd review, by all accounts of what Arco is doing, it should be right up my alley.
Right?
For whatever reason, it just doesn't work well for me.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. So, not the biggest fan. I know there are some big people that think that that should be the winner and think that it's really good, but
Crazy.
I do agree with you on this specific one. I think that, and I can't remember if I told you this or not. I think what it needed was a rewrite in the fact that, like, I think you could have kept the structure of the story almost exactly the same. I wasn't as concerned as you with their facial expressions. I think a
I
lot of
hate
that's
it.
just their general art style. I think where they run into the issue is I think that the dialogue isn't good enough to carry the movie. And so you're bored when if they had been more interesting or engaging with a better rewrite, I think maybe it could have salvaged it and made it pretty decent, but I just it didn't work for me.
I think the English dub is really honestly pretty awful. And I think and part of that is just you have child actors doing an English dub of something that is originally French. And I so like that's a tricky thing to navigate regardless. I think though that with the dubbing being as poor as it is, with the script being fine, and with the animation being, in my opinion, horrific, it's you don't you okay, let's just say for the sake of argument that the animation is bad or that the characters do not emote. The facial expressions are horrible. If you have better, like you said, dialogue and a better voice actor who can sell the emotion in those lines, I think I would have been able to overlook the fact that their faces don't emote. But because the
Mhm.
faces didn't emote, mixed with what you said, not terribly great dialogue, and then just again, I don't want to blame the kids because that just feels like a cheap shot. And like I'm not a jerk. That's a tough situation to walk into for anyone. I don't know. It the background visuals are lovely. Other than that, I think the movie completely fell flat.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, the big one for most people will be K-pop Demon Hunters, which does seem
Yeah,
to be the runaway favorite
they're gonna
winner.
walk away with it. Yep.
Yeah, which I have no issues with. It's an amazing movie, and I'm so glad it's become so popular. It's been so fun.
Mhm.
Actual pick though is Little Amelie or Character of
Yeah.
the Rain. And it's so funny because you and I have both seen so many people compare Arco to a Studio Ghibli movie, and
It's
it's
insane.
nowhere close to a Studio Ghibli. That's a crazy comparison. But I think Little Amelie is very, very close to what a Studio Ghibli movie
I
is.
it's been on my radar since it premiered at Cannes. I've been excited about it, so I know I keep saying it, but I'm really, really hoping to cram that one in before the ceremony.
It's lovely. And this is a funny criticism that I think once you see it, you'll agree. I actually think it's a little bit too short. I think it takes bites
Hmm.
off a couple ideas that I think they could have fleshed out a little bit further, it leaves some of those a little bit more ambiguous than I think it maybe could have. But still,
Okay.
it's my one of my favorite movies of the year. I really, really thought it was something special.
Yeah. And then best
I
international. Ooh, you
Oh,
keep
sorry.
cutting me off.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say I thought we could go right into that with the best song nominee, which
Yeah.
will be Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Which, like, I get it. It's wild to me because I remember watching Sinners for the first time, and during the "I Lied to You" scene, I was like, "Oh, well, that's the best original song."
Right.
any other year, I lied to you, would have walked away with it.
Yeah.
But K-pop just became this phenomenon, like this sensation that I'm like, yeah, Golden's gonna walk right away with it.
My understanding, if I read this correctly in passing, is that they are going to open the ceremony on Sunday with I Lied to You. So
Oh,
we'll have
that's
to see how that goes.
yeah. As far as for me, as far as prediction for the next one, just as I'm looking through here, is international feature. There's been 2 international features that have both been nominated for Best Picture, which I don't remember the last time that happened. So I think this
It,
is pretty obviously gonna come down to The Secret Agent or Sentimental Value.
yeah, I think it actually happens, I want to say most years. So last year, I'm Still
Oh,
Here.
interesting.
I believe, and you can fact check me on that, and was also nominated for Best Picture. So that usually is a pretty good indicator. I actually don't know what my prediction is, but my pick for it is The Secret Agent.
Yeah.
Now, and so I'll talk a little bit more about some of these. So the five nominees are The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sirat, The Voice of Hin Rajab, and It Was Just an Accident. So now I want to say at this point, one of the great things about watching all 50 of the Oscar movies is you begin to understand some of the themes or some of the I think once you get past the best picture type movies, you do open up the world into art as a form of resistance and art as this depiction of some of the beauty in between the chaos or destruction or just a better understanding for people of the things that are going on. So again, you see that in these international films. Again, resistance being a huge thing in both The Secret Agent and It Was Just an Accident, and the frustrations and tragedy of war and The Voice of Hind Rajab. And so I think that's something I'm going to be keying into really closely this Oscars is I think you'll get a lot of resistance to both you know, all the conflicts basically going on in the world, but especially
Mm.
the war in Iran and those types of things. So that'll be hopeful, I think, to see of just kind of watching people stand up to that. And that's what you get a lot in a lot of these international features. And so I think The Secret Agent is a bit more of I don't know, it's as I sat with that a bit longer than when I first saw it, I've grown to like it a lot more, but it is in that same vein in the Brazil dictatorship in the 70s. It Was Just an Accident is in Iran, kind of dealing with a lot of the same things. I did want to just say Sirat is one of the craziest movies I've ever seen.
You said that.
As a summary of what it's about is a dad and his son are in the middle of the Sahara Desert around
Okay.
Morocco, and they are attending a rave trying to find their daughter and sister. And so you get this
Huh.
combination of music and like rave music, plus like there's these hints of like geopolitical things going on, and there's talk of like World War III starting. And so there's all these things, but also the more I've looked into it is there's a bunch of religious symbolism and things going on and specific to Sufi Islam. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. And this movie is shocking. Like it feels like, wow, this is cool, this is interesting. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I watching? It gets crazy. So just had to talk
Okay.
about Surat. It's not my favorite, it's not my pick here, but had to say something.
Yeah. Did you say what your pick was?
Yeah, The Secret Agent ended up
That's what I thought you
coming to the
said.
top for me.
These next 4 categories, I have literally nothing to offer, so I'll just say them and then I'll let you go for it. So, best documentary feature film, best documentary short, best live action short, and best animated short. And I'll just let
Excellent.
you.
Again, lots of hidden gems in here. I have to shout out my brother again. He said he made kind of a funny interesting comment where it's like long form documentary, the world is, a tough and horrible place, but we can find hope through persevering in these small moments and that type of thing. Short form documentary, the world is hell. And that's fairly accurate assessment of what's going on here. So long form
Okay.
documentary, I cannot stop thinking about Mr. Nobody against Putin. It
Okay.
it tells a story of this um, young adult, probably, I want to say he's probably like 30, maybe late 20s, in Russia, close to the Ukraine border. And he works in like kind of like communications within a school to where he does like videotaping and stuff like that. So he uses some of his footage in the documentary, but basically what the documentary is about is the indoctrination of the war with Ukraine and Russia and kind of how that things. But like the horrifying part about watching it was just like how much of what you're watching we're seeing in the US right now was
Mm.
really scary. But just watching this individual in Russia just couldn't I can't stop thinking about him in the way that he shows resistance, the way that he knew what was being taught was wrong, and just kind of how he went about everything. It's so fascinating. There's some other really, really good documentaries. I think probably the winner here is The Perfect Nature. Sorry, The Perfect Neighbor. And
Mm.
I think why it will be the winner is because it is told entirely through police body cams and Ring doorbell cameras. And so I think that innovation is going to be what wins it. It's also a
Mm.
devastatingly sad story. The other one I want to shout out that I think could win is the Alabama solution, which also is extremely innovative because it primarily uses smuggled cell phone footage of FaceTimes with inmates
Wow.
in the Alabama prison system. And so you just see how years and years of horrible conditions and mistreatment and just it's really sad the way that, again, the documentaries are really, really powerful and really good. Cutting Through Rocks is another one, and it is about a really incredible woman in Iran and the way that she sort of pushes back and is very huge feminist and teaching the girls over there, and just the challenges that she faces are also just incredible to see the resilience that she has. But it's also another, again, all these are sort of the challenges people face and the hope that they're able to do through it all. So my favorite, again, Mr. Nobody against Putin. I think the winner is The Perfect Neighbor. For the short form documentaries, I won't go too much into these ones, but I think the winner here and my pick is All the Empty Rooms. And it's essentially the story of one of the national reporters, I can't remember for which news company, that he would basically, anytime there was a school shooting, he would come in and he would say, like, here's the hopeful, bright part about this. Here were the kids that were heroic. Here's all this. And at a certain point, he couldn't do it anymore with all the school shootings that he'd have to do that for. And so this documentary is about this project that he undertook to go and photograph all of these empty rooms of kids that were lost in school shootings. So again, really, really tragic and hard watch, but something that's really important. So yeah, short form documentaries, all very good. Another really interesting and I would recommend this one as well as the Children Weren't Gone. It's a documentary out of Israel, and it follows those that are doing silent protests for all the children that are killed in the genocide occurring in Gaza. And so that's just it's heartening to see the people of Israel that recognize that and that are doing that, but just watching the interaction that they have with some of the people is really sad. Yeah, the documentaries are a lot. I do recommend pretty much all of them, that I think they are all very, very good, but they are definitely a lot. So,
Right.
on to short films. I think all the short films this year were really good. Butcher's Stain, which again kind of shows some of that same conflicts in Israel with the hostages and Palestinians, and sort of that, how those different things interact and the struggles that are going on, especially with the Palestinian people. There's what's it called? My Friend Dorothy. I was just talking to you about
Mhm.
it. Very sweet, very heartwarming. Really like that one. Two Women Exchanging Saliva is one that I highly recommend for you. It is
Two
a
people.
dystopian. What?
It's
Two
two people
people.
exchanging saliva.
Thank you. They do happen to
You're
be
welcome.
women, but correct. The name is Two People Exchanging Saliva. Dystopian. It's basically an episode of Black Mirror, but
Okay.
I think you would enjoy it. The filming's very good. It's a French film, some romance, but yeah, interesting one. Um, my pick here though is actually The Singers, which is on Netflix, and it's basically a bunch of dudes in the bar singing. It's like that scene in Tangled where all the dudes are just singing. So that's my pick. I have no idea what's
Okay.
going to win here, though. Probably if I was betting, I would say Two People Exchanging Saliva, but I'm not betting, so I'm going to pick Singers. And then finally, for animated features, most of these were really good. Butterfly was beautiful, beautiful, and just told a story of a Jewish man in the Olympics right around World War II, and again, sad, but just the way that it's told is very, very beautiful.
Based
Forever
on what I
Green,
know, I think that one's gonna take it.
I would assume so. I would assume that's the winner. Forever Green is basically a what typical Pixar animated short. So
Mhm.
very cute and nature forward. The Three Sisters we'll just ignore. This was the worst of any nominee this year. Really bad. It's really bad. The Girl Who Cried Pearls is horrifyingly fascinating. It's a
Okay.
stop motion, and it just tells a story, but it is horrifying. These models they used for the claymation or the stop motion or whatever,
Mhm.
absolutely horrifying. But I think that's what makes it so good. So I would recommend that one for sure. I think it could win. But horrifying. My actual pick, though, is called Retirement Plan. And I think it's just very sweet, just kind of a sort of reflection on your life and just a reminder to be happy where you're at. And it's narrated by Domhnall Gleeson. And
Oh,
so,
interesting.
yeah, it's a pretty short one. It's not sad, but a good reminder for everyone. I'd recommend that for anyone. But yeah, those are the sort of, I'd say, lesser known categories that I was
Mhm.
excited to watch, and some really good things in there, some really powerful things in there, some really motivating things in there. And that's why I think, a lot of people talk about the Oscars in a pretentious way or in a dismissive way, but I think when you stack all of this up together, and I think you'll again see it in the ceremony, that there will be a lot of activism happening there with the platforms that
Mhm.
people are given. And I think that we need more of that. And we need, again, art as a form of resistance, especially in our day today with horrific wars going around. We need coverage. We need more people to understand what's going on, and we need more people to push back. We need more people engaged and understanding that light does overcome darkness, and we need more light in the world. We need more art. We need more people to look for those things. And so, yeah.
So up next, we talked about original song, original score. I think similar as I said with others, I think Sinners is gonna just walk away with this one.
Yep, Sinners hands down, but really strong year for scores. Shout out Begonia,
Mhm.
shout out One Battle After Another. I believe Smarty Supreme was snubbed, but yes, Sinners takes this one.
Yeah, Sinners takes this one. Best sound.
I think this is a two-movie race between F1 and Sirat. I pick Sirat as
Really?
my personal pick.
I think it's going to be a two-man race between F1 and One Battle After Another, and I think F1 is going to take it.
Well,
We will
it'll
see.
be interesting. Yeah.
I think best casting is another. I personally think Sinners is going to walk away with this one.
That's my pick.
I think One Battle After Another is a decent contender. I think even Secret Agent is a decent contender, but I think at the end of the day, Sinners is going to walk away.
Yeah, that's another funny one. It's a new category this year, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what does it mean to win casting?
Yeah. I don't know. Because I almost am like, is that best? Like, is that best on? Like, is that a best ensemble award, or is it like
Yeah.
best? You know what I mean? Is it best ensemble? Is it just best? Like, are they trying to give recognition to the casting director? I don't know. Production design, I think Frankenstein's going to take it. And honestly, I think Frankenstein deserves it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think if I had to pick, I'd choose Sinners.
For production design, Sinners is good. I mean, that tower that Frankenstein works in, I just think is a work of genius. But
That's a
that's
good
just me.
point. Yeah, that's fair. I'm not too strong on that one, so I could concede Frankenstein.
Cinematography.
Hands down, Train Dreams is my pick here.
I think that's another one that's going to come down to our big two. I think it's either going to be One Battle After Another or Sinners that walks away with this one.
I agree, but I love Train Dreams.
I've heard that from more than one person that there's some really cool camera stuff with Train Dreams. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to our big two. Best makeup and hairstyling, I think that's also going to come down to Frankenstein. I don't know that this is I haven't seen a couple of these. I don't know that it's a terribly strong category this year. But I do think it's gonna come down to Frankenstein because the creature looks amazing.
Yeah, I agree with the prediction. My choice is Kokuho.
Yeah, I would like. That's another one that I would really like to see. Costume design, I think it's also gonna go to Frankenstein. But I don't know.
Who else would you pick?
I don't want to just like keep saying Sinners, but I don't know. Maybe Hamnet. Period pieces tend to do well with costuming. Avatar, Fire, and Ash, I think, is an interesting choice.
Yeah, I did see people were complaining about that one, and then someone posted that like, no, every CGI like costume design in this movie has a real life. They made it in real life too, which I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess.
I don't know that that's true. I just think there are things you can do with CGI that you cannot do with fabric, or that are more difficult to do with fabric.
I'm not saying every single. I don't even know what those blue aliens are called. I'm not saying they created Thanks. I'm not saying every Na'vi costume was created, but I think like they copy pasted once they created a few.
Gotcha. I'm not necessarily upset with it being there.
That's not my pick.
Right.
I'm just.
I don't have an issue necessarily with it being there because I am like, it's still a feat of design and you're still designing these costumes. I also do think, though, that there is something to be said, like when you actually have to manhandle fabric and like every fabric has a different, like almost like consistency and it falls in weird ways. And sometimes it does what you want it to do and sometimes it doesn't. I think
is
sometimes
Marty Supreme nominated here?
It is.
I wonder if that one sneaks this one. Well, it's probably Frankenstein, but maybe Marty Supreme's a dark horse one. They've got some good costume design in that one.
But see, I would say I think Sinners got killer costume design too.
Yeah. I have no idea on this one.
So I think it's Frankenstein. I'm not super strong on that one. Editing, I think One Battle After Another is going to take it.
This is another one of those categories where I'm like, I have no idea what this means, so I pick Marty Supreme.
I could get into it. I think Marty Supreme is a good pick. I think Marty Supreme has some really, really interesting editing. I think that One Battle After Another and Sinners are going to sweep. Best VFX, Avatar, Fire, and Ash is going to take it. That would be my pick as well. Yeah. Because every single Avatar movie is a feat of just...
You can say whatever you want about the plot, and I do, but can't deny it.
You can't deny it. Like, that is a visual spectacle. But yeah, I mean, that wraps it up. So we will see. I know Adam is gonna post on Instagram his personal picks. A couple of mine that I was a little iffy on, I am going to pick something and I'm gonna lock in some predictions. And I know we're planning on recording an episode probably like a day or two after the awards ceremony. So we will have fresh thoughts, and I'm sure many of them.
Yep.
um yeah. So we'll catch you guys after the ceremony. Anything else you wanna add?
Nope. As always, we're excited about the Oscars. Obviously,
Mhm.
share our podcast with a friend, especially this one. Is if they're looking to watch the Oscars, this will give them everything they need to know and root for. And
Mhm.
yeah, until next time.
Until next time, catch you later.